Hi,
Hey, Nicola.
Heidi.
I am so excited to see you. How was
It
your
was
weekend?
actually very calm this weekend. I had a full weekend at home. I had a cold, but I just chilled out, did some work, did some house stuff.
Oh,
It was really good. Thanks. How was yours?
you're so- Oh, mine was great actually. It was, just nothing too crazy work, but I actually had a really great week of workouts. I've been doing a lot of hot yoga, so that's been feeling really good. But I'm so stoked to start Monday with you this way because I feel like, you and I have so many similarities with like what we're doing with our wellness coaching and everything that we want to achieve and help other people achieve, but like we have such different backgrounds. And I think, me being in Idaho, like all the way on the other side of the US, and you being in London, it's just you're in London, right? Not or are you
I'm
outside of
about
London?
350 miles north of London. So yeah, I'm on the northeast of England near Newcastle.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, anyways, we're just in such different worlds, and with you having your awesome corporate background and me having this weird fashion background, I don't know. I just am so excited to learn from you and your experiences and what's going on in the wellness world on your side of the
Yeah,
pond.
me too. So I
So,
think this first episode's going to be just us winging it, having a chat. We'll probably do the same every Monday where we
yeah.
just come together and like friends over coffee, talk about whatever we've been seeing, hearing, doing, maybe finding out with our clients over the past few days in the world of wellness so that we can just get, yeah, real and help people to unwrap, what being healthy is and bring some real life to it.
Totally. Like that's why I love the title of this, like the real health, real lives, because I think a lot of times there's these sort of unrealistic expectations that make people kind of feel like they're not
Mm.
doing well in the space or it makes them shy away from the space. So we're gonna get real and talk about what we're actually seeing going on. And right with today, so like I was kind of thinking about you know, talking about seasons of lives. I mean, sometimes, it doesn't make sense to go after one certain goal or another goal because of what's going on in your own personal life. I mean, have you experienced that? Have you seen that? What's
Oh
your take
God,
on that?
yeah. It's something that holds so many people back because they have this kind of perception that unless you do everything, there's no point doing anything. And this is the risk I think we've got with health
Right.
and wellness, isn't it? That there's so much noise out there about being healthy and being well and what you should be doing that people see it as an all or nothing approach. So yeah, I definitely do hear this from people who are very stuck and some of the clients I've worked with. There was a friend who I actually had on my podcast last week, and she's at a place in her life where she's got a very young daughter. She's 3 year old. And Victoria has a full-time job. She's got a new puppy. She's got a husband and a home. And she's got like a local food guide that she
Yeah.
does as a hobby and passion. She goes out eating and shares all of her fantastic photos on Instagram. But she was talking about how when her daughter became really poorly when she was only 13 months old and had to spend quite a few months in hospital, she hit a bit of a wall because everything she did to take care of herself in the past had gone, and she was still trying to find that balance after pregnancy anyway. But she basically said to herself, if I don't do something, I'm not going to be able to cope and I won't be there to support my daughter. So she chose, for example, to only focus on food at that point because she knew there was no point trying to exercise because her and her husband were, shuttling to and from hospital every day, staying overnight. Other things went out of the window. And even now, almost 2 years on, she was talking about how she really has to just focus on a couple of things that make the biggest difference for her right now. And hopefully at some point when her daughter's older and, doesn't need as much support as any toddler needs, she'll have a bit more time to maybe do other things. And it was a really good chat to have and share because it does show that there are going to be times in your life, like say someone who has a new baby, that sleep just isn't going to be something you can get the way you need it to be ideally, so you've got to be kind to yourself. I think that's what comes into play. It like you said, all of those different seasons and points in your life.
Yeah, totally. I think the thing that stood out the biggest to me in your story too was like, what's going to make the biggest impact? And I feel like that's what we do often as coaches, is helping people identify, I have this huge list of things that I want to do. What is it that I can focus my energy on that's actually going to have a positive impact? Like maybe it's not going to solve everything that I want to solve right now, but it can have those, positive things. And I mean, for some people, maybe that is the food piece, right? If you're eating well and it's making you feel more energetic, you're going to be more successful in all those other areas of your life. But like you said, sometimes things they're just not doable for you in that moment. And I think that, when we listen to all these podcasts and we listen to all these coaches saying like, you have to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And you're like, but I can't. It really is, it feels overwhelming. So, I have a little self-care ebook that I created, and that's my biggest thing in that book, is helping people feel like this is not another item on your to-do list to take care of yourself. This is to help you move towards your goals, So if you don't have time for that bubble bath, that's fine.
Yeah. And I think that's the key, isn't it? Because people put pressure on themselves, especially for those more luxurious elements of self-care, like the bubble bath or the reading a book or, sitting doing a meditation or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what about you? Have you ever had like a personal moment with that where you're like, listen, I got to get real right now. What's my priority? How am I going to focus my energy right now? And where am I going to give myself grace?
Do you know what? I'm still in that place now, because I think the way you explained it about seasons, like you're always in a season of your life. So now, quite a new business, setting the business up, working from home, being in this little space nearly every day, all day. That's very different to how my life used to be. But when I was in corporate and I was travelling most weeks between Newcastle and London, which was like 3 hours on the train, I would be away from home nearly every week for at least 1-2 nights. And, I had a young daughter at home. I had a home to look after. I was the main kind of, provider and carer in the family. And so there was a lot that I had to juggle. And at that point, that kind of where I'm thinking in my mind, I really wanted to be healthier from a fitness point of view. I was trying to lose weight, and I managed to do that whilst being away from home a lot of the time. And a lot of the occasions I was away from home were very social as well, because of the job that I did. So I had to really hone in on, what is the most important things here? How do I have good sleep, knowing that maybe 2 nights of every week I'm in a hotel, sometimes more often, sitting on a train for sometimes there and back in a day, even without an overnight, 7 hours of the day, in the car, on the train. So, really taking into account what are the things that are going to make the biggest difference. And for me, it really was the movement, exercising and finding different ways to do that, even if I was staying in a hotel, packing some kit, so I could go for a run or do a spin class at a local gym, trying to get the other people involved. So then you were doing it with others, and you'd get up early and you'd all go off together. And then the food was a huge thing as well, prepping breakfast to take on the train with me. If I could, I'd also prep lunch to have, so I didn't have to go out and buy a lunch and end up having something that didn't make me feel good. So yeah, there's definitely been, like I say, every point of my life, I think, has brought something new that you have to adjust your habits. And I talk about your habits being a wellness toolkit, a bit like a box of chocolates where you'll take the favourites that are going to give you the most return for your buck, sort of thing. So, that's the approach. It's that you've got that toolbox, and you know what? Something might change. Someone in your family might become ill, and that means you've got to switch it up a little bit because you don't have time to go to the gym. So, okay, that's gone, but could you get out for a 5-10 minute walk instead, or just focus on a different part of your well-being? Do you feel the same? Is that something that's been, in your mind as you've obviously navigated starting a new business?
Yeah, it absolutely has, and especially even like in my own health journey, you know, I think a lot of times another thing that's helpful for me is focusing on something like, you know, when we think about food and exercise, it's this big gray area that can look so different for everybody, right? So that can feel really overwhelming, but sometimes, like I always say, it's not easy to quit smoking, but like you either quit or you don't quit, right? Like you can't quit eating unhealthy, because what are we defining that as? So sometimes I like to have these little things that are like, I did it or I didn't do it. So in the morning, I like to have like lime and salt water, and it just like, it hydrates me. It sets up my digestion really good in the morning. And that's one of those things that I can say I either did it or I didn't do it. And it helps me go like, okay, like now I know how to start my day. I did something right. And it just, you know, provides me with, sort of a goalpost, you know, to aim towards when a lot of these other things can feel really big and overwhelming. So, so yeah, I definitely relate, and I feel like our clients relate, and I think that that's just a message I personally want to get out there, and I can tell that you really feel that way too. That like you've got to give yourself some grace and understand, where are you now, what are your goals right now, and know that that's going to change, and you're going to have to roll with the punches.
Yeah, definitely. And the all or nothing message is the key one as well, isn't it? To your point, you either do or you don't. You know, it doesn't have to be that way with every habit. Just pick those few things that really do help you for where you are right now, rather than just stay stuck thinking, well, there's no point unless I can check off every box. So, you know, something is better than nothing. And the kindness thing you touched on as well, about supporting yourself and just being accepting of where you are and what you're able to do, and that's enough for right now. Yeah. Yep.
We don't all have to be bodybuilders.
Exactly.
Well, Nicola, this was such an awesome chat. I'm really excited to do this with you every week and cover a different topic every week about like what it is that we're seeing. But yeah, I think, you know, giving yourself some grace, that's our theme for
Brilliant.
the week. Huh?
So let's both take that on board as well.
Yes, 100%. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Oh, well, we'll be back next Monday then, and let's see what we feel like talking about then. Thanks for Heide.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.